Three trailers under 3,500 pounds. Today we're here to show you that yes, even if you have a smaller vehicle, you can still pull a travel trailer. Each one of these is actually going to have one amenity in them that's going to stand apart from other smaller trailers, which is going to be a toilet. Now, each individual trailer that we have here today is going to have their different size, amenities, and build quality that we'll dive into, starting with the largest that we have here today, the Aliner Expedition. Each one of these trailers are going to have their unique shapes, and Aliner is no different with its ability to collapse down into a 66-inch high trailerable size and also stores easily in a garage. It is perfect for those who are camping for the first time with an RV, giving you less of a kind of a mind bend of pulling something so tall. Now, it does fold up into a much taller configuration for more space, and you're actually going to get the most space overall with this Aliner Expedition. The Aliner does a great job of putting their dry weight of each individual trailer on the side of their trailers. This one coming out to 2,228 pounds. And the total length overall is going to be 18 feet, making it the largest out of the three. Let's take a look inside and see what's in store on this Aliner Expedition that makes it a great option for a trailer under 3,500 pounds. So although this is going to be the largest of the three options, it does give you a toilet in the center of the camper, which is a little bit more communal than some might like. It's placed right here, and if you are a little bit more private, you're going to be kicking everyone out to use it. But the upside of this trailer is the actual size. If you have a family of four, you can be in here easily and be camping comfortably with your whole family, which really opens up the opportunities available to you. So now that we've spun around, this is actually the main bed area and easily pulls out with a slide of that bottom piece. Now, the couch section does give you ample space for a lot of people to sit on here, and the dormers give you a lot of height up overhead as well. These are great amenities and for space and just spreading out, especially on northwest rainy days, where you might be spending a little bit more time inside of your camper than outside. Along with all this space, you are going to get a lot more space to be able to use the camper. So right here we've got our 2-burner stove, but with a ton of prep space to the right hand side, and then to your left you also have your sink. Now you wonder why this kind of folds down and folds up, because this entire trailer folds on this hinge right here and will fold all the way down and lay at that 66-inch height for traveling. Also on board, you do have a microwave and your 12-volt fridge down below. And one of the biggest benefits for me as a 6'5" person, and I've did this angle to exaggerate, but I can't even touch the top without being on a tippy toes right at the point. So when I'm working at the kitchen, I've got plenty of space, and when I do my business, I got plenty of space as well. So this is something, especially for taller individuals, would probably be your first choice, just in terms of space, being able to stand up, spread out, all under that 3,500 pound threshold. So the Aliner Expedition is a great option if you want the space, but you're not too worried about the amenities. The freshwater tank capacity on here is going to be 11 gallons. There is no gray water, and then there's a 5-gallon cassette that you'll pull out for the toilet, which is going to be very familiar along each of these models. So if you are looking for sheer space, ease of towability, and ease of storage, this is going to be your option. Now let's take a look at the Tab 320 from nuCamp. At 15.5 feet in length, the Tab 320 is going to be the shortest trailer that we're going to look at today. And it doesn't necessarily mean it's that much lighter. It's 2,036 pounds dry. So it's 200 pounds roughly lighter than the Expedition, but it is considerably smaller. You can tell that each one of these, again, are going to have a very unique design, this one being a teardrop. Now, nuCamp and Aliner are both independent companies. They are producing something that isn't a publicly traded company, so they have a little bit different design and feel to each one of them that really stands apart. Now, nuCamp does a really great job at building a solid little trailer, and it shows with this one being the smallest trailer, but also size and weight-wise, probably the heaviest. Again, it's probably going to be lighter than each other one, but from the size and density factor, you're going to have a little bit more weight built into this camper. So let's take a look inside of this and see what this gives you in terms of space and amenities for the Tab 320. In the Tab 320, there really is no point for me to stand up because I do not fit in here standing up. But what I will say is when I worked at RV shows and I had to answer some emails, I would always come into a Tab 320S because it was so cozy inside. Now you can tell behind me, if I lean back, there are different things that I'm gonna hit my head on that you might necessarily not hit your head on because I am 6'5" and this is going to be a little bit smaller for me. But the cushions on here, by far and away, a lot more comfy. The wood cabinetry on here is going to be a lot more solid. The storage space, you are cutting down a lot on. So nuCamp does a good job of just having these different design components that come into a smaller space that do maximize the space in here. But again, it is going to be a smaller space. Extremely, extremely well built. Through my time in RVs, the nuCamps have really stood apart in terms of not only the fact that they have a following that you show up to a campsite and you immediately have friends, but also in the longevity and the build quality that you have on board. Now, one of the nicer features that I do see in the Tab 320s is that if you are a solo camper, what's really nice is you can leave this section down as a sleeping area and still have an area to work and eat. These lagoon tables fit on the inside. There's also a mount on the outside for ease of access. And then one more other component that makes these stand apart is their water heater and their environment heating. So these are exclusively radiant heat, which is a more efficient heat source and also a lot drier heat source. So if you're going up to the mountain, this is going to be something that's going to really keep you warm and toasty for the long term. Now, talking about storage, so when we talked about the Expedition, that was something that you can collapse and fit into a garage. Because this is at 8 feet exactly, you are going to be a little bit more hard pressed to fit it into a traditional size garage. However, I've had a lot of customers who actually will air down the tires just enough to be able to slip it in their garage so they don't have to pay for that extra storage. So again, another great option if you're looking for ease of storage and the ability to go out in different types of weather. So as far as capacities, you have a 19-gallon fresh tank, which is 8 more gallons than the Expedition. You've got a 11-gallon gray water tank, and then you have a 5-gallon cassette. So that's going to pull out the side for that black tank. Now, that is something that you're going to get a lot more in terms of amenities, because you, again, think of the Expedition. It's only got an 11-gallon freshwater tank, no gray tank, and a 5-gallon cassette as well. So if you do go to more established campsites that don't have a gray water or the ability to just dump gray water on the ground, you have a little bit more camping flexibility in something like this. Now, amenities wise, you're gonna have a lot more just right off the bat when you get a nuCamp, from its TV to the radiant heating system, and then also you've got different levels of upgrades. And this one right here is the Black Canyon series that has 380 watts of solar in that package, but it starts out with 180 standard. So a little bit more just standard amenities that come with the nuCamp Tab 320. And as you can see, I'm sitting inside of a bathroom. This is a wet bath, so you have a full wet bath and shower, whereas in the Expedition, you'd have to use the exterior shower to be able to wash off. As for cooking and a little bit more storage, again, the cabinetry, just all the finishes are really nice on a nuCamp. But you've got a pretty deep storage station here, which you actually have a 12-volt and USB charger and a 120 inside of that cabinet, and then also a larger cabinet underneath. You're actually going to be using some of that for your clothes and your dishes because of the amount of storage space that you're gonna kind of get in here. But you do get a nice hot cold tap sink, a beautiful front window, which you can actually open way up and get a lot of ventilation in there if you need, especially if you were cooking on your 2-burner stove right here and things get a little bit smoky. Now on all the windows, what's really nice to have is you have a pull-up blackout screen and then a bug screen if you pull down. One of the last things I wanted to mention on this particular trailer is that it has to think a little bit differently in terms of storage on the outside. Where the Expedition does have a 2-inch receiver for just a bike rack, and what we'll see on the ePro is going to have a 2-inch receiver for that as well. This just has a rack on the back, so if you were to try to put a bike on here, you're really trying to lift it up onto this rack up here. Additionally, if you're looking at adding a backup camera, this is something that you'd have to get like a license plate backup camera than the traditional one that would sit up top. Now let's take a look at the third and final of our under 3500 series, which is the 15TB from ePro. At 2,800 pounds, this is going to be the heaviest out of the three. Although it is only 15 feet 8 inches overall from tip to tail, which makes it 2 inches larger than the Tab 320 and much shorter than the Expedition. The interior space, you're actually going to find a lot more inviting than you might find on some of the others, depending on what you're looking to do. Now, amenities-wise, the 15TB is absolutely jam-packed with a 200-watt solar panel standard, a 1300-watt inverter standard, as well as a few other external and internal amenities that are absolutely fantastic. Not to mention that we'll start off with the awning on there. The other three don't have an exterior awning standard. You can get them aftermarket, but this is going to be an electronic exterior awning, giving you great option for camping on the outside. It'll also cover this railing right here, which gives you an external cooktop that you can pull out and use to cook outside and not stink up your trailer with different smells. On the front, you'll actually notice that there is an electronic jack. This is the only out of the three that will have a push button electronic jack to lift and lower your trailer. So let's take a look on the inside and see what this 15TB has in store. So on the 15TB, what I always like to look at first off and foremost, and what I actually notice is, because I'm 6'5", I look at the head height. In this, it does brush the top of my head in some different places, but I feel comfortable moving around in these ePros. The dome in this roof actually helps to shed a lot of material that can collect on trailers. Pine needles, leaves, and those that sit up there, they'll collect little ponds of water, and that water will tend to find its way into your camper. Because that is so domed and it is a little bit of a harsh roll off, it helps the rain that comes down push those pine needles and leaves off, so you don't get that collecting on there. Now, in terms of the size in here, it actually feels quite large, and it is absolutely amenity packed. Starting off, even with an extra burner, this is going to be a 3-burner stove versus a 2-burner stove, which is on the other two. And then you also have an inverted outlet right on your kitchen that you can run your coffee pot if you needed to. Prep space, not nearly as big as the Expedition, but in terms of being able to cook, you'd be able to figure your way through it. Storage, top, bottom shelves, and then also down below, plenty of storage for pots and pans and all of your actual kitchen needs in here, because we'll flip around and take a look at the other storage that's in this camper. All right, so coming in here, this is going to be the seating area. Now, it may look a little bit odd, but this does double as your bed. Not to mention, when you put this together with the centerpiece, that is a full king-size bed. In a trailer that is a little bit over 15 feet in length, a king-size bed is phenomenal. You will not find that really anywhere else. Now, if you wanted to just camp with a friend, that's done easily enough, which you can just keep this split into 2 different beds. And fitting 4 people around this table is not a problem. However, what I will say is this table is pretty small to fit 4 people. A standard plate size is going to be about that, so maybe 2 plates is going to fit realistically on here. In terms of storage, you've got plenty of space up above for all of your clothes, board games, books, as well as a nice shelf up top. Now, one big thing I did want to point out is actually the fridge size on here. This is a pretty large 12-volt fridge. So this is going to be the freezer side and then the fridge as well. So you're going to be able to keep a lot more food for a lot longer extended periods of camping time. If you were looking to go out of each one of these trailers, if you're going to look to go more long-term, you're probably going to be best suited in this particular trailer, not only for its boondocking capabilities with its standard solar power, but also with its storage compartments, both cold and dry storage. 31 fresh, 15 gray, and 12 black. This is the only one that's going to give you the black water tank versus a cassette toilet, but also with 31 gallons of fresh, you're getting way beyond what other capacities are going to be on the Expedition and the Tab. This also gives you the largest bathroom of the three, which is a full wet bath with a little tub style on the bottom that you'd be able to wash your feet, or maybe if you had an infant, they'd be able to fit down there. This has been 3 trailers under 3,500 pounds that all have a toilet on board. You can also see a more in-depth look in each individual trailer with all those videos linked down below as well. If you like this, give us a thumbs up. If you want to see more, feel free to subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one.